Say hello to the brand new Kia ProCeed. Not only has Kia got rid of the silly punctuation in its name, but it has converted it from what used to be a 3-door hatchback into a svelte and sleek 5-door shooting brake. Safe to say it's a new bold look, but is it any good?
The ProCeed may look similar to the Ceed hatchback and the Ceed sports wagon, but in fact the body only shares the bonnet and the front doors, plus it's lower and longer. The width and the wheelbase remain unchanged though, so it still has the same footprint on the road. The model seen here is the GT, meaning you get a sportier look, including racy red detailing to the outside, bigger alloys with plenty of spokes, and a more aggressive body. It's a smart looking car, but as many have said, the rear end is essentially a carbon copy of a Porsche Panamera. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, although the rear window doesn't offer a great amount of visibility. The inside is just as agreeable as the outside though, if not more. It feels premium in the cabin, there's plenty of leather, pleasing materials, as well as chunky sports seats proudly wearing the GT motif. So on the face of it, I think Kia has done well in the styling department. But how does it drive? Let's hit the road to find out.
So there's only one engine you can have for the GT. It is in fact the same 1.6 litre turbocharged petrol used in the last model. Is it any faster? Is it any more powerful? No. So you still get the 201 brake horsepower with 265 Newton meters of torque. However, in this car you can only have it mated to a 7-speed automatic. So unlike the last car, you can't have a 6-speed manual gearbox, which may disappoint some. I will come back to the gearbox in a bit, but for the time being I want to talk about the engine. So this car will hit 62 miles per hour in 7.2 seconds, which I know is not exactly lightning quick, but it's still pretty brisk, and the top speed is 140 miles per hour. Yes, I know on paper this car doesn't look that quick, but in real life this engine is quite punchy. It does offer a good amount of performance, and I would argue the power feels stronger than what the actual figures would lead you to believe. The power delivery is quite smooth, it's quite linear. There is a little bit of delay when you first prod the throttle and you wake up the 7-speed automatic gearbox, but on the whole, I think the performance of this car will be enough to keep most drivers happy. It makes a good noise as well as you go along, particularly if you have it in sport mode. So let me pop it in like now. That does sound pretty good. Now I won't lie, that engine noise is being fed into the cabin using a sound actuator, so that engine noise is a bit fake. Do I mind? No, I don't. It sounds pretty good, and the exhaust, that does make a pretty good noise. When you first start the car up, you are greeted by quite a dramatic bellow, quite a roar, and it is louder than you may expect. The engine definitely satisfies me, but the ride, I do have a few niggles with it. Now I know this is a performance car to a degree, therefore you have to expect firmer suspension, but for me, I just find it a little bit too busy. Once you get it up to speed, it's fine, but when you're going about town or going at lower speeds, the ride is quite lumpy and it is most definitely busy. You will find yourself bobbing up and down a little bit in your seat. Now, speaking of the seats, I must say they are very good. Not only are they supportive, but they are comfortable as well, and I don't feel like I'm sat too high. The driving position feels quite sporty, which I do like. But back onto the ride. Yeah, I do find it to be a little bit busier than I would personally want. But on the plus side, what I will say, the damping is brilliant. This ride is never crashy, it never properly disturbs the cabin, and for the most part, the suspension and the damping is really able to protect you from some of the harsh bumps that the road can offer. Now, the flip side of firmer suspension means you get better handling. Dab the brakes in like so. Now at each corner you have Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tyres, and my word, they do offer a very good amount of grip. It's also worth noting that the ProCeed is 5mm lower than the Seed hatchback and the Seed Sportswagen. The ProCeed is also a little bit longer than the Seed hatchback and the Seed Sportswagen, but the wheelbase and the actual width of the car is the same, so the actual footprint of the car remains unchanged. To help get this car right though, Kia spent an extra 6 months in development for the suspension of this car, and yes, I would say it has worked, but I would just want it to be a little bit more supple when you're going at slower speeds. The steering has got a good weight to it, whether you have it in normal or sport. There's not much body roll. There's a good amount of grip as well, thanks to the Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tyres. And this car, yes, it's definitely capable in the bends. And it's pretty entertaining as well. Now, the only thing I'm not a massive fan of are the brakes, because in my opinion, they don't inspire as much confidence as I would like. And on the initial dab of the pedal, you don't really get a lot of stopping power. It's not until you modulate the pedal a bit more, and yeah, I would want the brakes to have a bit more bite. And it's funny because I had the same complaint when I drove the Kia Stinger GTS last year. Now earlier I mentioned there was a sport mode. So you've got a button down here marked sport. Press it and you get more engine noise, which I do rather like. The steering becomes heavier and you get a bit more throttle response as well. Now let's talk about the 7-speed automatic gearbox. Some have said that it's quite slow and that it is a letdown for this car, and I do think that is a bit harsh, but I do agree somewhat with those comments. Now, for the most part, the gearbox works way pretty well. Now it is a dual clutch unit. It's smooth, the changes are relatively slick, but when you want to get a move on and when you want to drive the car in a more exuberant manner, then yes, you will find the gearbox is a little bit slow to react. Let's just take control of it myself using the flappy paddles, which do feel quite nice in the hand. Yeah, I must admit that change was very slow. Yeah.
How much will the ProCeed GT cost you to buy? The ProCeed can be had in other, cheaper versions, but for the GT model, you're looking at a starting price of £28,140. Standard features include GT styling, 18-inch alloys, LED front and rear lights, 8-inch touchscreen, DAB radio, Bluetooth, navigation, smartphone connectivity, heated front seats, heated steering wheel, front and rear parking sensors, reversing camera, dual zone climate control, cruise control, and a good host of safety features.
Kia states that this car should offer up to 39.3 mpg on a combined run, and in my experience I've been getting around 37, so not too bad and pretty respectable given the performance this car offers. But what about CO2? Well, this engine emits 133 grams per kilometre, which I think is pretty respectable. This means for the first year of VED, you'll be required to pay £210, so not too bad. For those of you that are looking to have this as a company car, the BIK rating is 30%. But what about the other running costs? Insurance, for example. This car sits in insurance group 21A, so it shouldn't cost you too much to get covered. And what about reliability and warranty? Well, this car should prove to be pretty reliable, but just in case you have any mishaps, don't forget Kia offers a 7-year warranty for the ultimate peace of mind. Now, I want to talk about rear space because I think that ProCeed has had a bit of a hard time from other reviewers in regard to this area. Some have slated the Kia for offering a tight, cramped amount of space back here. Now, I'm 6'2", so I am about to pretty much disprove what they have said. As always, the driver's seat has been set for me. I probably could have it a little bit further back if I wanted to, but it is comfortable for me. So let me step inside, and you'll see that the complaints about rear space are a little bit of nonsense in my opinion. Right, let me close the door like so. So I've got a decent amount of knee room, and I've also got a good amount of leg room. Okay, I haven't got acres, but do I feel cramped back here? No, I don't. Yes, you do have black roof lining, so it does feel a little bit dingy back here, but I'm not claustrophobic in here whatsoever. However, what about headroom? Well, okay, I haven't got loads of it, but I've got a spare 1, maybe 2 inches. So I can see no reason why a taller person couldn't get comfortable in the rear. Now, I will concede, I think it will be very difficult to fit 3 adults back here. The middle seat is quite slim, and it is also perched up a little bit higher. So if I were to sit in the middle, I wouldn't have any headroom. Like my hair's firmly rubbing on the roof lining, and I don't think I'd really want to have an adult sat either side of me. However, for 3 children, it should be fine, and of course you get ISOFIX points. But if you don't happen to have 3 people in the back and you've got 2 or maybe just 1, they can make use of the armrest in the middle for better comfort. And as you can see, you've also got 2 cup holders in here. So I've got my smaller bottle of drink and my larger bottle of drink. Come on, get in there. And they both fit in pretty well. You've also got door bins in the rear. This bottle fits in fine. That's very nice and easy. You can get this bottle in. This is 750 millilitres, but you will need to give it a bit of a squeeze and to kind of force it in. But yes, it does fit. The door bins aren't massive, but as you can see, they can take a bottle of drink. There's no charging ports back here, which is a little bit disappointing. It would be nice to have a USB port in the back or a 12-volt socket. So, yep, Kia, I think, that would be quite a nice addition. But overall, in the rear, I think it is an agreeable place to be. So I think the other reviewers that have moaned about the rear space, I don't really know what they're on about. But yes, rear space in the ProCeed, okay, it's not fantastic, and it's not, I wouldn't say it's class leading, but it's enough for me, and I'm 6'2", so what more do you want? Okay, you might be 6'3", or 6'4", or you could be Peter Crouch, or you could be a really tall basketball player. If you're any of those, then you may find it a bit cramped back here. The boot, however, is an area that you can't really deem as small because it offers a good amount of space. More specifically, it offers 594 litres, which is much more than the Ceed hatchback, but not quite as much as the Ceed sports wagon. The ProCeed does sit a little bit lower than both of those cars though, so it means that the load lip is a little bit lower, but there is a bit of a step into the boot. If you need more space, you can of course fold down the 60/40 rear seats to give you 1,545 litres. And better still, you've got compartments underneath the boot floor, so you can hide stuff away, or you can organise your boot in a more efficient manner, which I do really like. That is good thinking from Kia. There's no spare wheel, which may disappoint some of you. And one last thing about the boot, the tailgate is a bit heavy, and it does need a bit of a slam to get it to close properly. There we go, that's got it. And let's finish with the front. The front offers a good amount of cubby holes. The door bins aren't massive, but they are big enough to swallow up a 750 millilitre bottle of water, like so. And I've got space left over, so I've got my snack bar just here. Drop it in like so. And I've still got room for a few smaller items. Quite handy. In the middle, you've got 2 cup holders. You've got a smaller one and a large one. In the smaller one, I can fit a 500 millilitre bottle of drink in there, like so. And in this one, the large one, I can just about squeeze in my larger bottle of drink, like so. You've also got a little slot here, which I'm not really too sure what you'd want to put in here. However, it is the perfect size for my snack bar. There we go, fits in like a glove. Well done, Kia. You have designed a slot specifically for a Kellogg's Special K snack bar. You've also got a cubby hole underneath the centre armrest, which is adjustable like so. Lift it up and you'll find a good amount of space. So I can put my snack bar in there with plenty of space left over. In the middle, you have a shelf where you can pop your smartphone, which is quite handy. And you've also got a little hideaway here. So this gloss black plastic trim slides back like so. And you can pop smaller items in here, or perhaps some loose change. You've also got 2 USB ports, an auxiliary port, and a 12-volt socket. Up here, you've got a sunglasses holder, which is very handy. Got my sunnies here. Pop them in like so. And of course, last but not least, you do get a glove box, which once more offers a good amount of space. There we go. But how easy is it to get a comfortable driving position? Well, it is very easy, in fact. The steering wheel, as you would expect, adjusts for brake and reach like so. And my driver's seat also has got a good level of adjustment. Now, it is manual, it isn't electric, but even so, it is pretty easy.
So it's pretty practical, but what about safety? The ProCeed GT comes with a good amount of safety features as standard, such as 6 airbags, autonomous emergency braking, lane keep assist, high beam assist, driver attention warning and hill hold assist. The ProCeed is yet to be crash tested, but the hatchback on which it is based on was awarded 4 stars from Euro NCAP. Pay £750 more and you will get the Advanced Driver Assistance Pack, adding features such as lane following assist and blind spot warning, which should help the ProCeed receive a 5-star award, much like the hatchback does when it is fitted with the same kit. So, time to wrap up. I like the fact Kia has shaken up the ProCeed GT and has been bold with the new car, and I also like the car itself. It's a good looker, it drives well, offers a decent amount of kit and a good amount of space. It's not perfect, however. I would personally want an option for a manual gearbox, and I wish the ride was just a little less busy at slower speeds. On the whole though, I think there is plenty to like about this car. Thank you for watching this video, I hope you have enjoyed it. If so, like, subscribe and don't forget to ring my bell so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.